Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television GPTV. I'm Brett. In my hands is the Walking Dead Deluxe number 6. It's been out for about a week in comic shops. This is the first chance I've had to actually do a review of it. A little late, but we're getting to it anyways. So Walking Dead Deluxe is a colorized version of The Walking Dead, been coming out every other week, and it's going to go through the entire series recolorized, which is pretty awesome. There's also back material with some like the scripted notes from Robert Kirkman and kind of his thoughts about maybe some of the stuff he's changed and maybe he would have done some stuff different and all that. It's actually really interesting. The back material I think is solid and makes this a must for Walking Dead fans who probably already have the issue. So, the comic is by Robert Kirkman, written, art by Tony Moore, color by Dave McCaig, lettering by Rus Wooton. And this is interesting. This is a really interesting issue, is that up to this point, a lot of my reviews have been talking about this is a really fascinating comic to reread in the time of COVID. I think there's a lot of parallels that you can make between COVID and the zombie apocalypse, and the lack of government action or the failure of government action between the two of them. There's a lot I think you can read into it, and it's been really interesting to explore all that. So this issue, though, it wraps up that first arc and really brings the first dramatic hit, really kind of the second dramatic hit, or kind of the culmination of the drama, moving it away from that more of the, what the hell are we going to do about this? This is the issue that really brings that triangle of Shane and Rick and Lori all together for the big bang, the big huge moments that I think a lot of us all know about. But if you don't know, we're gonna leave it for the new readers. So this is one a little bit less of the what are we gonna do, and more of kind of we've been cooped up and here is the giant explosion of everything coming out because of everything going to crap. And that way it does reflect what's going on with COVID, right? There is an interesting aspect with that is, many of us have been cooped up for a year or more, and we're all going a little batty, and tensions are high, and relationships are being frazzled, and, relationships are being destroyed. And in that way, the comic, again, reflects what has actually happened. And I think doing that in a really interesting way. There's also this argument between Rick and Shane that's been kind of ongoing, where Shane is convinced that the army's going to come through and rescue them, and Rick is like, we need to move on, we need to be more secure, and we need to take care of ourselves. And I think that, too, really is kind of the dividing line between a lot of folks when it comes to COVID. Obviously there are the folks who just don't believe the risk at all and are just going about their lives. That's not so much reflected in The Walking Dead. I mean, maybe you can argue kind of it is up to some point, but really it's the government's going to save us versus we need to deal with ourselves and protect ourselves. I myself am kind of I'm going to protect myself until the government gets their shit together. I'm not relying on the government to handle stuff. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm more of the Rick on this end of things. If we just need to go and make sure that we're okay, and then we'll worry about the other stuff. So I think it's been a fascinating read, and I think it really shows that Rick seems to be much more sane when it comes to this stuff. Like his outlook on life seems to be like a really grounded and realistic in many, many ways. I'm not saying that Shane's the government's going to save us isn't, but because many people believe that, but we've seen the government hasn't. So the outlook of Rick seems to be very justified in that real world, which I again think it's kind of fascinating of how everything's going to crap, and Kirkman did such an amazing job of really nailing a lot of what happens in that situation. So I mean, it's been a fascinating read. I really can't wait to go through all of this. Especially when it comes to maybe some society of stuff being reworked, and who knows where we're going to be in of all that. But it's going to, I think, be really, really, to me, that's part of the really interesting read about it. The art, again, the art's always fantastic. It really is solid art. The style of Tony Moore is a little bit different than what went on later in the series, and there's a little bit more of a I don't want to say cartoony, but it's not quite horror as focused, and I think the art kind of emphasizes that the color kind of emphasizes some of that, but it's great. I mean, it's a fantastic series. The art isn't a negative at all. I'm just thinking it's going to be really interesting to see as the art shifts, you know, how the coloring is going to be handled with that. Like, what's the tone going to be like at that point? Overall, I mean, this, I think, was, you know, I remember reading this the first time, you know, this issue and the previous issue, and, you know, people are dropping. Like, this, the body count gets high really, really quickly, and I think that's one of the things that really always impressed me about The Walking Dead is that it was willing to kill off characters and do so, you know, high-profile characters like this. You know, I always joke with friends when they were getting into it and saying, like, just don't get attached to folks. This is not a series you want to do that to. So, you know, this is where that I really learned that lesson of just, you just go with the flow. Don't get attached to anyone, and you'll do a lot better, because otherwise you're gonna be hurting throughout the series. You know, I love it. I love rereading this one issue at a time every other week has been fantastic. You know, if you've never read it, you should definitely pick it up and experience it one issue at a time. I really think the experience is very different than reading it as a trade. And then, of course, if you're a long-time fan, the back material, it's, you know, 2 pages of stuff, not tons, but I think it's really cool, and you're not going to be able to get it anywhere else. I think it's just really neat to see that sort of thing. I really wish comics in general had much more back material like that. I always think it's kind of fascinating. So, out in comic shops, you can go get it. We got a link beneath this video. Put in your zip code, tell the shops near you. No shop, no problem. We do have affiliate links. There are affiliate links, so we get a small percentage of that. By doing that, you help support our site, so thank you. And speaking of support, I just want to thank you for watching. I appreciate that as always. If you're into Image Comics, over to Skybound, Walking Dead, comics in general, check us out every single day at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, all at Graphic Policy, keeping it nice and consistent. Until next time, keep reading those comics and keep it geeky. Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.